We're live.
All right, guys, welcome back to another edition of the Bluminati podcast. I'm your host, Nathan Bond. I'm joined alongside me, as always, Seth Varnador and Robert Stieg. This podcast, as always this year, proudly presented by Irish 31. Guys, Irish 31, they're going to have Bulls watch parties at all 6 Irish 31 locations all season long. There's 7 more games. Go out there, go have some fun. Go before the game, go after the game on Saturday. Go enjoy, some beverages. They have wall-to-wall flat screen and LED walls with the games on it. Sound up, Bulls-themed drinks, $5 16-ounce Yuengling flight cans, Magic 94.9 on site at select locations for the Bulls bonus watch party with ticket giveaway, sponsor swag, and more. And it'll start about an hour before kickoff. And they'll be there through the game. Snap a picture with Coach Scott. There's a cardboard cutout in every single pub, and share it to Instagram for a chance to win tickets to the next USF home game. Make sure you tag at Irish31 Pub and hashtag Horns Up. The Bulls bonus watch party. The next one coming up will be Thursday, October 28th at Irish 31 in Seminole. And we'll be setting something up for that game as well. So be on the lookout for that for the local folks. It's gonna be fun, and let's jump into it, guys. We had a bye week. We didn't have to. We got to enjoy our Saturdays. What did you guys do during your bye week?
Oh God, what did I do? Holy shit! I had to help pack up a whole bunch of shit. My girlfriend's moving in with me, so there's the big news of the podcast. The
Yikes!
Sorry, ladies.
The big drop.
Sorry, fellas. He's taken.
The mustache is off the market. No, that was my Saturday. God, moving sucks, but can hire some movers. We'll probably be doing that here soon.
Yeah, I had to chart the Florida game, so I watched Florida play Vanderbilt and then watch Ole Miss blow a cover twice in a minute and a half against Arkansas. So that was fun. So that was really fun for me. But it was a great day of football. So I kind of just sat and watched all the great football that happened, and nice nightcap with Texas A&M beating Alabama, which, as someone that had Alabama covering, it was either Alabama, please lose. It's either cover or lose. I can't handle Alabama winning by a field goal, because then what's the point of the whole game? It's just a waste of time, basically. So it was nice to see them lose and kind of see maybe things will start opening up here this year and maybe get a real crazy year. So
how was the Florida Vanderbilt game? Was that a barn burner?
Yeah, it was a thriller down to the wire. It was over after the first drive. Florida scored a touchdown, and they ended up winning 42-0. So
good for them.
Yeah,
all those points. I'm jealous. All those points. I'm jealous. I had a good weekend with the kids. Did a lot of Halloween type of activities. Went to a spooky train on Friday, and then they had a spooky trail, which is pretty cool. It's off of 52, and Southwest Parkway, I think, just past it, up there in Pasco County. It was pretty cool. And then went to a pumpkin patch Saturday morning, and then watched that Oklahoma-Texas game, which was insane. It's really nice to be able to enjoy and watch football, college football, when your team is not playing and you don't have existential dread hanging over you, up until that kickoff and then afterward. So it was nice to just kind of decompress, watch some football, and just laugh at Texas almost being back and then not being back at simultaneously. So that was a lot of fun. It was a good weekend overall. Bucks won, so that was great. And then we're back. We're back in action. The South Florida Bulls face the Tulsa Golden Hurricane this Saturday at Raymond James Stadium at 12 o'clock in the afternoon. Make sure you hydrate. I think there's a cold front coming in on Sunday, so I don't think it's going to quite hit Ray J in time for the game, if I'm not mistaken. As I pull up my handy-dandy weather map, yep. It's going to be 90 degrees and sunny on Saturday, so prepare adequately. Drink plenty of water, and it'll be an interesting game. ESPNU, make sure you check that out. I think that's channel 151 for my Spectrum folks. Get a plug in there. So Chris Torello can pay me, I guess. I don't know. But yeah, let's kind of kick into it. We've kind of put SMU to bed. We put the first 5 games to bed. The title of this podcast tonight is Proving Ground, because this next month is going to be where we find out what this team can truly be. USF is one of 2 teams in the nation this year to have faced 4 top 25 programs, and now they get a month where they don't face any. So maybe by the time they face Houston, they'll be a top 25 team, if not already. But this is a chance where you can make up some ground and build some good momentum heading into that final month of the season. Seth, holistically, what does Tulsa bring to the table that can give USF fits, besides just actually having their offense show up?
That was going to be my number one. They appear to be able to throw the ball all right. They're not nearly as good as they were last year. I think Coach Scott said in his press conference that, they bring a lot of guys back. I don't think they bring a ton at key positions. So you got a new quarterback. You've got some, obviously, Zaven Collins on defense. And then you had some guys transfer out as well. So they still have some pretty good players off that good team last year. But schematically, they're pretty similar. Defensively, they're going to play a 3-down line. They'll bring some pressure sometimes, but it may not be too different. I think they're a little more aggressive than BYU, but you're going to see a lot of 3-man line, and then kind of not bringing more than 3 too much. But they will bring some guys every now and then. Then on the other side of the ball, it looked to me – I just watched a little bit. I haven't watched a ton of them, but it looked to me like 11 personnel team, not too dissimilar to USF. Probably similar stuff, zone run game. Last year they took some shots down the field in the passing game. Looks like they're doing some RPO stuff. Running back, I think, didn't the guy that was injured last year is back, I think, right?
Shamari Brooks, who's in year 14 at Tulsa, it feels like. He was really good. He went over the 3,000-yard mark last week for his total. And this dude's a straight-up baller. He was the one guy in, I guess, 2018? I want to say that weird Tulsa game that Diet Lemon Booty Philip Montgomery kind of let USF back in. I think it was that game. I think Samari Brooks was really the only guy that I truly worried about in that game. And he's back in action. He's looked good. Tulsa has actually had 3 different rushers rush for over 100 yards this year. Samari has 2 of those games. He's rushed for 416 yards for an average of 4.8. And then Anthony Watkins is averaging 8.3 yards per rush. He's rushed 34 times for 282. And then Deneric Prince has rushed 47 times for 261 and 2 scores. So they've got 3 backs who can really kind of run the ball pretty well. But I think the thing that kind of stirs the pot for them, at least offensively, is Davis Brin, the quarterback. And you touched on it, Seth. He's replacing, God, what is his name? Who's the guy?
Zach Smith.
Zach Smith.
The most
Zach
basic
Smith.
name.
Seriously. And Zach Smith, he was pretty good. He had a couple of I think he had at least one weird interception in that game last year before Zaven Collins kind of ripped the game apart for Tulsa and ended up blowing out USF 42-13, I believe was the final score there. It's going to be just another interesting matchup because this USF defense, they'll get some guys back this week. Hopefully Mikhailo Point's 100% or closer to 100% than he was 2 weeks ago. TJ Robinson and Jalen Herring should be back as well. Still probably another week or so for Christian Williams to get back healthy, but at least you're getting some more options back there. Seth, I did want to ask you, Jeff Scott in his press conference this week said that, the offensively for USF, they've actually had to add some stuff offensively for the first time this season, just due to how Tulsa's defense works. He mentioned cloud coverage for folks who don't know what cloud coverage is, and I will throw my hand up. I know it's a play in Madden that I never pick. I'm a big cover 3, cover 4 guy on third down, and I drop the inside corners to the first down marker. So cloud coverage, what is it? What can it do to kind of disrupt you offensively, and what do you have to do to kind of pick apart this defense?
So a cloud corner, I think, is a rolled up corner that plays the flat a lot. I'm trying to see if I can find a picture of it. A good picture of kind of cloud coverage, but typically a cloud corner is kind of rolled up in the flat. So you may have some guys playing in the flat or playing more downhill outside. Can't find a great picture, but that's typically when I see cloud. This one's not bad. Let's see. All right, I'll pull it up here for our people that are watching. So that's kind of really hard to see, isn't it? But cloud, you see this kind of a rolled up corner. So kind of think of more traditional, like a traditional cover 2, where the corner's playing a hard flat. They call that a cloud. You can play other stuff behind it. It's not just necessarily cover 2, because in cover 3 even you have flat players. It's usually just my corner's dropping deep and my linebackers or a safety, if he's rolled down, is going to the flat. With cloud, you could play the corner as the flat player in the cloud, rotate a safety over the top. So it's like functioning like cover 3, but some people will call it cover 6. So quarter. So cover 4 on one side, cover 2 the other side, cover 6, but you're still at 3 deep functionally. So they might be doing some of that. I didn't get a chance to watch a ton of them, but a cloud corner is just a corner that's kind of rolled up in the flat. So you won't see him drop, and that may be only to one side. It could be into the boundary, it could be to the field, but a cloud corner is just a rolled up corner.
Perfect. I know you kind of mentioned that it's similar to BYU, and I think Jeff Scott, I think he was kind of alluding to that this week. They'll rush 3, drop 8, and kind of make you kind of pick apart their zone. For USF offensively, what will Timmy McClain have to do to effectively move the ball down the field? I know he's probably kicking himself for missing those deep shots 2 weeks ago, and he's gonna want to take those shots again. He's not afraid of that type of moment where he's missed a few, and he's not going to shy away from it. So what can USF do to effectively kind of get them out of their rhythm defensively, and then really kind of impact the game with the long ball, which is got especially deep touchdown throws has eluded USF. Any really explosive touchdown plays has eluded USF so far.
Yeah. It seemed like the formula that was working in the second half against BYU would be similar. If there are some, if you're watching Tulsa, there's some times where it's like 3rd and 11, and the safety they have a middle of the field safety, and he's playing at like 25 yards. So they're really not trying to let guys get over the top. Maybe they'll play a little bit more aggressive as USF. So one thing USF can do is run the ball. If they're able to run the ball successfully, now you maybe have to get more aggressive with your safeties in the run game, and that's where you can get play action shots over the top. But what they did a lot against BYU is they started to hit those intermediate routes, the kind of slants and the 10-yard ends and that kind of stuff off of play action. And then if you do drop back to pass and they only rush 3, make them pay with your legs too. There's if you go back and watch them against Memphis, there's time where Memphis' quarterback has got like 5-6 seconds back there. He runs around, makes the guy miss, gets a first down. He's not nearly the runner McClain is. So if you get that time back there, don't be afraid to pull it down and make them pay, and just keep, these defenses that are. This is kind of a counter to all the really good offenses now. Is teams are playing off and just begging you to move the ball down the field little by little, not commit penalties, not commit turnovers, complete passes, that kind of stuff. So if you just kind of take what they give you, you can move the ball down the field. You just got to be sharp. You can't, commit penalties. If they're only letting you they'll let you pick up 5 yards every play, but now you commit a holding. Well, now it's 2nd and 20, so you pick up 10 on 2nd and 3rd down, you're off the field. So that's kind of the thing. But I think that in the passing game, probably those intermediate areas, kind of on the hashes, maybe middle of the field stuff, especially if they're playing those corners in a cloud where they're just kind of in the flat. It's a tough spot to complete stuff going out. So maybe more stuff to the middle of the field between the hashes there, and then run the ball. If they're going to only have 3-man down, spread them out, try to run it, especially with a running quarterback. See if you can create some problems there.
Yeah, the Bulls kind of they didn't get the best yards per carry game from Jaren Mangum 2 weeks ago at SMU. They need to kind of get him going. It seems if he's running the ball pretty well, the Bulls are more effective. I mean, it's kind of obvious, right? If you run the ball well with your starting running back, you're going to be pretty good. But I think this offense kind of more so than maybe expected. If Jaren's not really running the ball well, the whole kind of the rest of the offense kind of gets bogged down a little bit. So I think trying to get him, between the tackles and pop off those 5-6 yard gains consistently. Him and Brian Battie are so good at those jump cuts, gap to gap, that I think USF is going to have to do a little bit more of that. Maybe run some counter to kind of get them a little bit more space, pull some guards, I love that. I don't even know what you call it, where you bring the tight end up the middle as a blocker as well.
Like a lead,
like a little bit more creative.
I think they're going to have to do that in the run game because the 3 guys Tulsa has, they have, I believe his name Jackson Player, number 90. He plays in for them, but he is he's got to be 300 plus pounds. He's a really good player, can move really well. I thought he was like the second best guy on their defense last year, but he plays end. So this is not like they're not Russians. They're big bodies up there. But if you're going to pull guys, you can maybe pin them in with a good down blocks, have some angles for your blockers, use Wilcox as a blocker inside, see if you can kind of get some movement on those 3 double teams with the lineman, use Wilcox. And I mean, I would be interested to see if you see 2 tight ends like we've seen a little bit this year. See how they line up to that, Or does that give you an advantage? Because Chris Carter's come in and blocked really well when he's gotten the chance. So I think both those guys can add something to the run game.
Absolutely. You mentioned the Tulsa's defense. They've been pretty good at creating some havoc plays. 43 tackles for loss already this season. 13 sacks. They've forced 12 fumbles, which is pretty impressive. They've only recovered, I think, 3 of them. So, some turnover luck. And then on the flip side there, Tulsa has coughed up the ball 7 times and only lost 1 of them. So it's really kind of hit or miss. But I mean, you're just looking, let me just count this out for you guys. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17 different players have a tackle for loss. I believe that number is more than USF has total. But let me double check.
Guys that have played a snap on defense for USF total.
Yes, I was close. USF has 18 tackles for loss as a team. Tulsa has 17 players with at least 1 tackle for loss. So, yes, Adam Furman, you're right. Tulsa is one of the most undisciplined teams. They saw what Charlie Strong did and is trying to emulate it for some reason. They are the most penalized team in the nation. Kelly Hines, Hines, I believe, covers Tulsa for the newspaper over there, and she did a deep dive on every single penalty over the last 2.5 years for Tulsa football. Go check it out. That is some hardcore journalism that I don't think my brain could take, going through every single penalty that they've had. I think for USF during the Charlie Strong year, I think it would take years off my life to go through everything. But she did a really good story about that this week to check out. And Steve, you were on a Tulsa podcast this week, the Golden Herdcast. How are those guys over there? What were they kind of talking about the game? And were they more down on Tulsa? They did lose to UC Davis, but they played Oklahoma State close. What's the kind of consensus or feeling from those guys over there?
Yeah, sorry, I just looked it up. Holy shit, 245 penalties in 2.5 seasons. Good God. I talked with the Golden Herdcast guys. They're absolutely fantastic. One of the better follows for fellow AAC Twitter folk to get some unbiased looks into other teams and everything like that. The mood was kind of mellow for the talk because there was a tornado warning going throughout Tulsa, so couldn't get too excited, too thrilled. To drop the hat. They're all perfectly fine though. But it seems like there's kind of this air of like, oh shit, we might be their first first FBS win in 756 days or whatever it is. Obviously Tulsa is favored coming into this game. Line started at 10. I think it's down to 8.5.
I saw 8.5.
So there's a chance before kickoff this will be a one-score, affair. Come betting time. So, I think that's kind of weighing in, and I think some key injuries happening on Tulsa's defense is kind of also saying like this could be a bad loss, but they did respond very well from a 45-point just beat down by Houston to turn around and do a pretty good job of shutting down Memphis's offense. Memphis is in a very up and down year right now. You got one of the best receivers in college football with Calvin Austin on Memphis' side, and they did a pretty good job of limiting his damage to lead to a nice homecoming win for Tulsa. So I think the mood over there is kind of like they know that there's a potential threat that USF will win this game, and they're trying not to come. They're definitely not looking at USF lightly. I think they're kind of in the same boat that the record indicates that they have played very tough opponents and they haven't gotten a chance to really spread their wings yet. So overall, I mean, I'm excited to watch this game and maybe potentially get a win on the books. I think they're also kind of looking for better sounding board and, consistency on a week-to-week basis. Like you said, a loss to UC Davis, not great. Again, it's a win against Memphis is pretty good though when it comes to the record book though.
Yeah, I mean their other win was a shootout win over Arkansas State, and it's just so weird, that they lose to UC Davis, and then the very next week they play Oklahoma State as well as you can without winning the ball game. They lost 28-23, and then they kind of gave Ohio State kind of a run for their money early on in that game the following week before Ohio State kind of turned it on and turned it into a 3-score win for them. So they're a little Jekyll and Hyde for me. I can't really get a good read on them. The numbers, say that they're pretty good on offense. Davis Brin is completing 58% of his passes. He's thrown for I think 1,600 yards, if I'm not mistaken, through 5 games. So they're okay in that regard. They have some playmakers. Let me make sure I get his. Yeah, so Davis Brin, 1,649 yards, 8 touchdowns, 8 interceptions. That could be an issue. They hate 8 interceptions in 6 games. But Josh Johnson seems to be the go-to guy for Brin. 35 receptions, 508 yards, 2 scores. And then Sam Crawford Jr. and Juan Carlos Santana both have 19 catches for Crawford has 369 yards and 3 scores, and Santana has 19 with 282 and a score as well. So it's Josh Johnson, and then everyone else is option number 2. And USF's got to figure out how to stop them. They're getting some reinforcements back, which will help. Steve, you mentioned the spread kind of going down to 8.5. And it's really funny. Jeff Scott talked about the spread of the 4 losses that they had. He said the average point spread was 24 going into the game, combined between NC State, Florida, BYU, and SMU. And if you think these coaches and the players don't really read about this stuff or look into it, I assure you they do. They'll tell you that they don't. Oh, I don't pay attention to that. They pay attention to it. They know that this will be the first game that it's not a double-digit point spread for them. And they know that this is an opportunity for them to kind of cement that they're turning the corner just as a program. And Seth, this would be a pretty good start to the turnaround, right? Just getting a win at home after your first 5 games were just an absolute slog.
Yeah, I think you've seen some positive momentum. Another interesting thing just in terms of betting about this game. So I think Steve mentioned some places line open at 10. But as of right now, 83% of the bets are on USF and 96% of the money is on USF. So that means the bigger money right now, so probably the sharper money, right? The guys that maybe do this for a living and bet to make money, right? So they put up bigger bets. Their money's on USF right now. So
we're about to make some people broke this weekend.
So just to repeat, 83% of the bets and 96% of the money. So that's typically a good indicator of where a lot of smart people think are kind of who's going to, or how the game's going to go, who's going to cover. So that's pretty good. I'm going to throw up some stats here to look at from our friend Stats of War, Parker Fleming.
Stats a must follow on Twitter.
Very good on Twitter. Let's see here. There we go. So this is his preview he puts out. This is him, Stats of War. Excellent follow on Twitter. But he puts out an advanced stats preview that kind of gives you a really good indication. Now, he doesn't have he has Tulsa winning and covering right now just based on numbers. But when you look at the numbers here, you kind of see this game's really pretty even. It's going to really kind of depend, I think, on it. It appears it's going to be a high-scoring game. Neither defense is very good statistically, and USF's offense has started to really creep up. Kind of the stats as the season's going on. They were really one of the worst the first 2 or 3 weeks. Last 3 weeks, they're starting to crawl up into like the 60s and 70s on a lot of numbers. You see success rate on offense, they're 71st. That was in like the hundreds earlier in the season. 69th passing success rate, 67th rushing success rate. So that's basically success rate is basically, are you gaining the yards you need to gain? So if it's first down, are you gaining 5 yards or more? If it's second down, are you gaining half the distance? If it's third down, are you gaining first down? So one thing that's interesting about the numbers here that I know Nate has really talked about the entire year is, so he's got a measure of quality drives called ECHL, right? So if you look here and if you can't see it, he has something called points per ECHL. So basically points per quality drive. So when you have a good drive, how many points do you get off of it, right? Right now, USF is getting 2.94 points per quality drive, which is 118th. So we've seen them move the ball a lot this year and not finish. But the last few weeks, they're finishing a little bit better. So you think back to North Carolina State, they got the ball in the red zone or really past the 30, I think 3 times, came away with no points. They finished a little bit better against Florida. FAMU did a better job, and then you're seeing them start to get more and more quality drives and finishing drives a little bit better as the season goes on. So check out Parker for all these stats. If you're not sure what some of this stuff means, check out his sites at cfb-graphs.com. Really, really good information if you're looking for like the next level analytics on stuff. But this game I think is going to be a high scoring game, kind of a shootout. You look at the defenses, there's a lot of red. The offenses, right now he's got USF is kind of having a better offense than Tulsa. That's, I think, a lot of recent success has really catapulted them since they kind of decided exactly who the quarterback is and what kind of offense we're going to be running. Because the guys that were vying for quarterback were all different. So you're trying to run kind of a mishmash offense. Once you decided who your guy was, you've kind of seen them really work towards his strengths and do stuff he does well. And we're seeing that success grow and grow and grow. So you're hoping they keep taking the next step and that they would have the best unit on the field. They also may have the worst unit on the field. So it's kind of, how does that difference, which one's able to kind of create a little more separation for them?
Yeah, and you mentioned it, and kind of a nice little segue. As you said, I've kind of harped on it all season long. It's finishing those drives inside the red zone. Tulsa, not great at finishing drives inside the red zone. They've scored on 12 of 17 red zone possessions, but only 8 of those 17 possessions have resulted in touchdowns. They've had to settle for field goals or not score at all. But on the flip side, 16 of 19 opposing offensives red zone scores. They've scored 16 times in 19 tries, and 13 of those were touchdowns. So on the flip side, defensively, if you get into the red zone, there's a pretty good chance you're scoring a touchdown against Tulsa. And USF over the last, I'd say, 3 weeks or so, SMU, they got down there, FAMU, they got down there, BYU, and maybe even the second half of Florida, they were able to get down to the red zone and do some things. And that's what USF's going to have to do. They're going to have to punch in. You can't, you're 1-4. You're searching for your first FBS win. At some point, you've kind of got to be like, all right, I can't settle for a field goal here. I know it's the first quarter and it's their first drive. We need to get points here. We need to set the tone. Settling for 3 when hopefully your defense probably can't stop them. I mean, at this point, you've got to, until proven otherwise, you have to assume the defense isn't going to get a stop. You have to stop trading 7 for 3, and I think for Jeff Scott, for this team, for this offense to take that next step, you've got to be willing to leave 3 points off the scoreboard, because 7's going to get the job done, 3's not. At that point, I'll be okay with them, missing out on a possession in the red zone because they went for it. They tried something. They were gutsy, because you've got to be gutsy at this point. You're going on over 2 years without a FBS win. Something's got to give, man. You got to do something. You have to do something different. Why not in the red zone when you're getting down there quite a bit? Take some risk.
Yeah, and the thing against SMU, I think, was, right, they had a yards per play advantage, right? They just didn't maximize the number of plays. So when you give yourself an advantage, you've got to maximize your plays to maximize that advantage. So hopefully, like Nate said, when they have the chance, I think you got to start thinking that your offense is your best unit right now. The defense has got a lot of guys in that are inexperienced. For whatever reason, they're not playing great right now. So you got to kind of lean on your offense, and so be a little bit more aggressive with them, and hope that they can make the plays that keep the defense off the field, and that'll lead to more success, more points, and a victory. So I think you really got to start leaning on this offense and kind of treating them like they're a pretty good unit, because the last 3 games or so, they've showed they can be pretty good.
100%. And for USF, they're 16-20 in the red zone. 12 of those have resulted in touchdowns. So they're a little behind pace of what the defense is allowing. They've allowed 14 touchdowns in 20 tries. So, and that can be a thing. The BYU, we look back at the BYU game, you get one 4th and goal stop, and it's a whole different ball game. So that's where I want to see USF improve more. The next area, we talk about it, third downs. They're 30% on the year. They're giving up 44%. Tulsa on the flip side, they're not great, quite frankly, at either. Pardon me. They're converting 36% on third down on offense, and they're allowing almost 46% defensively. So you can extend drives against this defense. The numbers bear that out. You can really move the ball on this team and extend drives. And with a defense that's not great, I think you saw it the second half of BYU. You want to extend those drives and keep them off the field as long as possible.
Yeah, and just to kind of put it in context, if you put third and fourth down together, Tulsa is actually worse defensively than USF is defensively in allowing third and fourth down conversions. So if you kind of feel like USF's defense allows a lot of third and fourth down conversions, well, Tulsa allows even more. They're allowing third and fourth downs together. They're 116th in the country, allowing almost 51% conversion rate. USF's 104th at 47% or 47.8%. So,
and that's against much lesser opponents as well. Like Keith, I don't want to throw strength of schedule around there, because I know Jeff Scott kind of mentioned today with the press conference, the first 5 games, it's great. You can hang your hat on those things, but, ultimately USF is at the tougher schedule. And when you look at the numbers matched up against each other, you can kind of tend to favor USF in this game because of that. If the numbers are that even, but USF's played tougher, why not, throw a bit of money that way?
Absolutely. It really kind of comes down to how effective Glenn Spencer and this defense, how seriously they took this bye week, and hopefully they had, a lot of tackling sessions. I hope if they went home last weekend, I hope they were tackling family members.
Whew.
Yikes. Sorry about that, folks. Can you ban that person?
Yeah.
Dear Lord. How do these people find us? Incredible.
Okay.
Just really diehard USF fans.
Man, I didn't know John Gruden was watching our podcast.
Just for reference, so SP Plus, real quick, let's talk about strength of schedule. SP Plus, BYU, SMU, and Florida are all top 25 offenses in terms of SP Plus. Florida's 5, SMU 16, BYU's 25. So this USF defense has had to play some pretty good offenses so far.
Speaking of which, what did Bill Connolly have the game at?
Did he release those already?
Yeah, he released them this morning, I think. Well, this morning. Yeah, this morning. And I'm so bad at looking at these.
Ohio State is number 1 for reference and on offense.
He has Tulsa. He has Tulsa winning 33-22. So hits the under, but Tulsa covers.
So there you go.
Wow, I didn't know Bill hated my team.
You should tweet
if it's any consolation, he has basically the exact same score for the UCF Cincinnati game too.
There you go.
Interesting. A pretty light week. Oh man, my voice.
I think I'll finish Nate's statement. A pretty light week for the conference this week, isn't it?
There it is. There it is. Steeg, how many games are going this week?
3. 3 in the American are happening. Everyone is on a bye this week, except for Navy and Memphis, USF and Tulsa, and Cincinnati and UCF. And all of the games are at noon, so the AAC will be flipping the calendar early this week.
Absolutely. Man, I wanted to quickly pull up. Let me see. Did I type in the address? Yeah, I did. Sorry. I wanted to quickly kind of go through. I mean, we're halfway through the season. Let's kind of take a look at where the conference stands. If my internet would freaking work. All right, here we go. So as everyone expected, Houston is first in the conference so far. They're 3-0 in conference, 5-1 overall. It seems like maybe Dana Holgorsen kind of figure something out through 6 games. SMU's 2-0, Cincinnati 1-0. Both of them are still undefeated. And followed closely behind are 4 teams at 1-1 in the conference: Central Florida, ECU, Temple, and Tulsa. It's such a jumbled mess, man. We do the AAC blog rankings every single week, the power rankings through Fear of the Wave. And man, after 1, 2, and 3 with Cincinnati, SMU, and Houston, it's a crapshoot. Like who is the worst team right now? Is it Tulane, who's kind of lost their way? Is it USF because of their record? I don't know. This conference is such a hot mess from 4 to 11. I really don't have a good read on frankly any of these teams.
It feels like, not to get into the AAC blogger poll universe too much, and this is just off of my gut reactions of watching the first 6 weeks of college football. I can kind of characterize right now the frauds of this conference. Temple's a fraud at their current layout. I do not believe that is a good team whatsoever, and I'm absolutely jinxing us as well. I don't feel inspired by Ron Carey's offense, and I think playing one of the worst FCS schools in the country, coupled with a pretty decent upset over Memphis, who we're now kind of finding out is rather inconsistent, and I don't remember who their other one was. Akron.
Who's terrible. So your 3 wins, which are boosting you up to the top half of this conference, are questionable at best. And then Houston, I feel like, is also pretty fraudulent this year so far. No.
I haven't been very convinced, and they have had a pretty light start to this year as well. I have a feeling they'll probably trip themselves down the rest of the schedule and not stay on top much longer. This conference is like bad this year. It's just everyone's just going to beat up on each other, and then Cincinnati's going to win handedly.
Yeah, I think I don't know bad. It's just I think there's a lot of similarities. There's not, the teams with the pretty good quarterbacks are kind of the best quarterbacks in the conference are 1 and 2. And then I think it's kind of a jumble. Like USF's got a young quarterback. Memphis, I don't know, the first-year starter. So, and then you like UCF, all the the injuries, all that kind of stuff. I think it's
no. They're a top 15 team. They're just injured. They're undefeated actually.
Yeah, it doesn't count if your quarterback gets injured after the last play, after the last whistle. I think that still counts as a loss. That's just me, though.
It's a shame that their starting quarterback from the beginning of the year wasn't playing, nor is one of their key running back contributors, nor pretty much most of their secondary. And also they're missing some of their top wide receiver threat. Oh, wait, this just sounds like USF with just a few more hoops to jump through.
Yeah. So, yeah, I think after the top 2, I think there's some clear tiers where you have Cincinnati, and then maybe the next tier is SMU and maybe Houston, and then after that is, to me, everybody else. I think that's how it feels to me. That it's kind of one of those things where any one of these teams, I wouldn't be shocked if you told me any one of these teams beat any of the other of these teams. If you don't include if you don't include Cincinnati, SMU even, I wouldn't be shocked if somebody rose up and beat them because their defense is not great. So if they turn the ball over, they can get got. But so Cincinnati is the only team that if you told me somebody in the conference beat them, I'd be surprised. But nobody else. I think it's pretty. There's a lot of parity.
I mean, 2 weeks ago, right? Maybe 3 weeks ago, I guess. At this point, I would have told you absolutely Navy is the worst team in the conference, and then they go and beat Central Florida. And I think the week prior they played Houston close.
Yeah, kind of out of nowhere. They were really bad, and then all of a sudden they play Houston pretty competitively, and then beat UCF. And now I think they might be a favorite against Memphis. I'm not sure, or a slight dog.
Yeah, and then they nearly beat SMU last week, right? So whoever is finishes last in this conference, it'll be a shock, and also like, oh yeah, I get it.
Yeah,
like there's not going to be like, oh yeah, this is definitely the team that's going to be last. I mean, it very well. Oh my gosh, my voice. It very well could still be USF finishing last this year, but I don't see it happening. I didn't pick them to finish last. I still believe that they're not going to finish last in this conference. I think there are still. I don't think ECU's great. Steve, you harped on Temple being ass. And I really don't think Tulsa's great. I can't get behind a team with a bad coach, and Temple and Tulsa are the two that just stick out as they've got some bad coaches.
And you get both those games at home, so that's also a big advantage for USF. I don't think there's no game on the schedule that is a guaranteed win. There's not like. I think we'll get to our predictions at the end, I think, but I don't think any of us would be shocked if this was a loss. I think we all feel pretty good about the game for USF, but none of us would be shocked if they lost. But these are definitely winnable games coming up, and these next two are at home against teams that you match up pretty well with statistically, and I think on a talent level, these are definitely gettable.
And I think that's something that ultimately I would like us to harp on for the rest of the week is there's a very big difference between a winnable game and a game that USF will win. I think that's going to get lost in the shuffle this week, and I can already see it now, but I think people are going to, if a loss does happen on Saturday, there's going to be, I think, a few more people that are going to go scorched earth here without kind of taking the context of, Tulsa's still favored. Tulsa on paper is technically better. And Tulsa, at the end of the day, has more wins this year than USF does. And so you put all that together and you can say, yeah, Tulsa should win this. But, I think some people are confusing winnable and will win in this circumstance.
Oh, Steve, absolutely. 100%. Before, do you guys want to do predictions and then kind of wrap up with some basketball, or do you want to hit basketball real quick and then do the prediction?
Let's save the predictions for last.
Yeah,
let's see go out on a high note.
Basketball.
Yeah. All right. So we had the virtual AAC media days for men's and women's basketball on Wednesday afternoon. I was lucky enough that my lunch break lined up so I could actually talk to Brian Gregory and Jose Fernandez as they spoke with media today. And, it was interesting. Brian Gregory basically said, the big question mark for this team, outside of continuity is there's a lot of guys going up a level. And he acknowledges that they're, Javon Green, shot 45%. Jake Boggs shot really well from outside, but can it translate to, a higher level of conference? And it was really, refreshing, I guess, to hear, BG kind of say, yeah, this is one of the question marks that we're going to have to answer this year. 10 new guys, Jameer Chaplin and Russell Chua and Caleb Murphy are the returners, as well as Mark Kalea. So there's
scholarship basketball player Mark Kalea.
Scholarship basketball player Mark Kalea.
Thank you.
So yeah, there's still a lot of question marks. Byron Mateo from New Mexico State, New Mexico. He's a big body. Him and Chua are gonna kind of clog up the lane a little bit. Caleb Murphy said he wanted to work on his defense and his outside shot. And he kind of realized, midway through the season last year that, in high school on those pick and rolls, he could just get to the hoop because, he was the most athletic guy on the court. And now he's got to figure out how to work around that and be a little bit better with the ball. And I think, we can all agree the COVID pauses for both teams were not great, and it seemed to affect, both greatly. So hopefully when they don't have the COVID pause, men's basketball was competitive against, Wichita State and Cincinnati. And then, you throw in the Tom Herron thing. It was kind of a recipe for disaster. And they were picked to finish 9th in the conference, tied with Tulane.
Not last.
ECU picked last in the conference, and then obviously Houston was picked as the favorite on the men's side. And then on the flip side, your reigning, defending regular season and tournament champion South Florida Bulls picked first again for the second year in a row to win the conference. And they returned 90% of their scoring, and then they poached two girls from Memphis. They got a couple of transfers. It's going to be fun. This is going to be a really fun team. I'm so excited for women's basketball again this year. Jose Fernandez, he was wearing I believe it was the South Florida Strong shirt. It was the gray golden Brahmins shirt, and he kind of teased that it's the 50th anniversary of USF basketball, and there may be some throwback uniforms this year in November and December. So keep an eye out for that. And it's going to be a lot of fun. I'm excited. Shane Betty are back. This team is just absolutely loaded. I'm so excited for this team to kind of kick going. I think they've got 18 more practices left, I think, before they start the season. And man, it's a gauntlet of a non-conference schedule. They play the defending champion Stanford Cardinal. They play Tennessee. They could play UConn if the bracket kind of lines up in one of their tournaments. I'm so excited. I can't get over it.
I did a pretty decent write-up on them today, and I relived some great memories and some really terrible memories of basketball. And boy, that was like less than 8 months ago, which is weird to think about. But yeah, the really interesting thing that I got from Brian Gregory's press conference was that we talked about it all last year, is that the team last year was just rock fight after rock fight after rock fight, 52 to 53 games and not really exciting and couldn't really score. And Brian Gregory basically right off the bat was like, yeah, this team's going to score. Like they know how to score. Now it's about, getting defense and rebounding, which I feel like kind of speaks to the new coaches that were brought in with Louis Rowe and Jason Slay. I think that they're going to be looking to kind of switch up from this, stout defensive team. And you can kind of see in the transfers that they got in that, they're leaning away from, these low scoring rock fights and are going to try to score points. And boy, isn't that a novel concept in basketball. Really wish we knew that last year, but I think I'm excited to see what Brian Gregory cooks up. I know they're going to come out slow. Thank God they're opening up an exhibition game against a college that I don't really even think is real. Voorhees College, I don't think is a real place. I think they're grabbing Voorhees.
Get into the Halloween spirit.
Yeah, so they start that on November 1st. Not a real place probably. That'll be a nice kind of way for them to play against someone else and hopefully not lose an exhibition game. But I think in the opposite of the women's basketball schedule, they really needed a light exhibition and light preseason conference to get the ball rolling, get the gel really meshing with everyone, since it's basically 8 new faces plus 2 new coaches, so 10 new faces from the roster last year. And then we can preach women's basketball all day and night. They're gonna blow some schools out of the water. I look forward to the USF Memphis game where Dulce Venkum, I cannot pronounce her name, and I will learn how to pronounce it before the end of the season. But in the return trip to Memphis, I mean, she'll probably put up like a triple double at least. Probably go for like 30 or 40 points just to really rub it in. You know, we'll probably hit triple digits that game.
Yeah, if I don't see a couple 100 burgers this year, but from women's basketball, I'm going to be disappointed. They've got shooters everywhere. They've got talent everywhere. You know, Jose's got some real talent, and it's going to be interesting to see how the rotations shake out. And you know, he likes to play 9 at any one time. It's going to be interesting which 9 there are. Because they bring a lot of that top talent back from last year. Sydney Harvey, Elena Shineki, I mean, Eliza Pinzon. I mean, it's on and on down the list, man. I'm so excited for women's basketball, and we'll as we creep closer toward the season, we'll dig in deeper. But it's fun to see a team picked first that has a legitimate shot to win this whole tournament again, win the regular season again, and just start. It's time to start stacking titles for Jose at this point. He's been here for 22 years. This is the title stacking portion of his USF career. Now that we've gotten that out of the way, the moment you've all been waiting for, it's prediction time. As Seth and I have really honed in on this team so far this year. Stieg is still a wayward lost boy who has not gotten close at all.
I was kind of close on the Florida A&M game.
You weren't, though. Here's the thing.
In a real sense,
and you know what? Quite frankly, you weren't here for it, so you didn't give a prediction. So
right, that's when I was having my mental breakdown. I forgot
that old thing. So, Seth, let's kick things off, man. Prediction: who's going to win? Thoughts? What do you think?
Listen, I'm not going to be a jerk and sit on here and pick Tulsa. Even though they're favored by 8.5 points, I'm not going to do that. So I'm going to go, because I think this is what the score is going to need to be if they want to win. I'm going to go, let's go 38-35 USF. I think it's going to be a high-scoring game based on the stats. Let's give the home team the win, though. 38-35.
So you're going with the over and a cover with a straight up win.
That's right. I mean, only a real jerk would pick Tulsa.
Really putting you in a corner here, Seth.
Just a real jerk.
Yeah, just an absolute jerk would pick Tulsa to win, huh?
Only a hater.
Yep.
Somebody that not on the McLean train. Just a real, not a believer in Jimmy Horn. Go ahead. What's your pick, Nathan?
Man, I think USF covers. So it's within 8.5 points. So we're there. I think it's going to be a fairly high-scoring game as well. I think, Tulsa's shown that they can put up points against bad defenses. I think for USF to win, they're going to have to score 40 points. So I'm going to say 45-41 South Florida.
Oh.
Okay. Now, I reserve the right to change it when we do our pregame show, just in case, some late breaking injury news. Seth, I always ask you if you want to. I asked you, this is what your prediction was earlier in the week. Do you want to stand by it and adjust accordingly? So I'll stand by it for now. I think USF is going to have to put up some big numbers. They're going to have to finally have a touchdown longer than 9 yards to really have some success here. But yeah, Stieg.
Well, I'm offended. You won't even ask me if I want to change my prediction before the game.
You got to get on the pregame show, Steve. We tried to ask you when you were remoting in, but it didn't work out.
Yeah, it was way like, I mean, I'm sure you guys could hear me fine, but they had a DJ that was just pumping music the entire time. Couldn't hear shit. Have you guys seen Mamma Mia?
Here you go again.
Yeah, it's a good movie. I was watching it yesterday actually, just to relive the glory days of my life. Loved Mamma Mia growing up. My sister made me watch it like 5 million times. And Pierce Brosnan says something really important towards the end of that movie. And he says USF is going to win 55-10. Easy money. Mamma Mia. Can't believe you would have bet against USF. My. How can I forget you?
I heard that was improvised. That wasn't.
Yeah. All those years later, it's still a weird fit into that movie. Amanda Seyfried's face when he says it is just
her eyes got real big.
Like, I can't believe you're betting on the University of South Florida to win against Tulsa in the year 2021. Good Lord, Pierce.
Yeah, is that his name in the movie?
Yeah. I had to look it up because I wanted to say Colin. I know it's not Colin.
I feel like he's a Colin in some movie.
He just gives me like, Colin vibes, you know?
He might be not Colin Sherwin, but isn't one of the other guys Colin Firth in the movie? So maybe you're getting those
wires crossed. That's who I was thinking of.
Mm. One of the potential baby daddies, right?
This may be the Illuminati podcast Mamma Mia edition. Maybe that'll be the film room. We're gonna go over Mamma Mia.
Yeah.
Actually, no film room. No film room this week.
No film room this week. So there you have it, folks. Stieg really went out on a limb, broke his rule, 55-10 USF. Seth, 38-35. I think that's a good choice. I think, what was it, 2014? USF came back, and won. I think it was the SMU game, 38-30. Kind of the same kind of thing. Not quite there yet. Mike White led the comeback there.
That was against Tulsa.
Was it Tulsa? Maybe it was Tulsa.
That was the Andre Davis game where he made.
That was the Andre. Man, why was I? Yeah, why was I thinking it was SMU? Interesting.
Because that was Quentin Flowers 1.0 when they made him take snaps under center for the first time in his life in a wet, soggy Dallas stadium.
Yeah, not Willie's best moment, but it's okay. He figured it out eventually. But yes, the comeback, the 38-30 comeback. I think USF's going to have to put up some points. USF's 3-1 all time against Tulsa, and their margin of victory is like 5.6 points. So when they win, they don't really blow anyone out. So I think we're in line there. Stieg, God bless you. But
the day that I'm going to be right, like we're just going to have to shut down the pod. It's done. It's going to.
I've already been right once this year. I don't need to do it again. I mean, again, literally going to live off of that for the rest of my life. It's going to pay my bills for sure. Any final thoughts before we sign off and say goodnight?
Do we still have our promo code?
Oh, that's an interesting question. I'll have to double check. Make sure you guys go to homefieldapparel.com. They were kind enough to partner with the Daily Stampede, and they have 6 amazing shirts that are very comfortable. Seth, can you attest to how comfortable the shirts are?
Very comfortable.
Very comfortable.
Very baby soft.
make sure you go check them out. They finally got the USF line after Stieg, Senator Giggity, the blog, everyone kind of harassing them for 2 years to get this thing done. And finally, USF and CLC and home field, the stars aligned, and we got it all put together. I'll double check on that promo code. If it does still work, it's Daily Stampede. And for first-time customers, you get 15% off your order site-wide. And I think they're coming out with some Georgia Tech stuff this week. And they've got some cool logos as well. Support other schools. You've got the Colorado State Mines.
School of Mines.
School of the Ore Diggers. How could you forget the Ore Diggers? That's Blaster. They're actually undefeated and I think top 5 in Division 2. Yeah. I'm trying to follow them.
Yeah. So great stuff. Just a great organization. I'm glad that they were kind enough to partner with us on this release. It's been great. That's it. Let's wrap the show up. Again, this has been the Bluminati Podcast, proudly presented by Irish 31. Make sure you guys go check out their 7 great locations. There's one in Oviedo, West Chase, Wesley Chapel, Seminole, Hyde Park, West Shore. I think I'm forgetting one. Sarasota has one as well. Make sure you go check them out. Jay Mize, former inaugural USF Bull, is the founder. Go check them out. They've got great drink specials. We'll have something set up for the 28th. But hey, let's go catch a dub. Let's go catch an FBS dub this week. How about it?
Let's do it.
Good night. Stay safe. We'll see you guys on Saturday. We'll have the pregame show. We'll have the preview up this week, and we'll go from there. I'm gonna try to remember to bring my tripod so we can maybe do a postgame show, and make sure I bring the attachment and it doesn't fall apart. I'm staring at it right now, and we'll go from there. But in the meantime, make sure you check us out. Stampede SBN on Twitter. Bulls Nathan SBN on Twitter, Robert Stieg Life on Twitter, Seth Varnador on Twitter, and go Bulls. Have a good rest of your week.
Go Bulls.
Go Bulls.